Hey everyone, happy Friday. I wish I was there for this meeting with you guys, but I am in Wisconsin teaching a power course, so that'll be fun and I'll be back on Sunday. Thank you to Anne for taking the lead with this topic today, and I wanted to participate as much as possible, so I put together a couple videos just to let you know why I think this topic is so important, to give you some information, to introduce the topic, and kind of help Anne out so she doesn't have to take all the responsibility. So mindfulness and meditation is our topic today. We'll do an introduction. This is a two-part series, so we'll do an introduction today, and then in November, Dr. Moore will be coming. He is a physician who has been practicing for a couple decades, and then he also teaches the mindfulness and meditation classes at UC Irvine. So he has a lot of experience both in the healthcare system, working with patients, and then also with mindfulness and meditation. So he'll be a great resource. He'll be doing a talk, and he'll be available to answer questions. So my goal was that today was more of an introduction, just so you kind of got thinking about meditation and mindfulness and how it might work for you, and maybe over the next couple of weeks look into a little bit more, maybe try it out, and then when he comes you can really maximize the use of his time coming in and speaking to us. My goal with these wellness workshops is not just to learn, here and there a little bit about different topics, but really to learn enough to make a change in your lifestyle so that wellness, can really be improved. So today we'll be talking about mindfulness and meditation, give some definitions, watch a TED Talk, and then get some practice and see what you think. You may have heard about mindfulness and or meditation in the media, on the news, or read an article or seen a book. Some of you may already be practicing meditation. If so, please share with the group. And if not, if this is new to you, then just soak in the information and enjoy. So mindfulness, in terms of the definition, it is a mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations, and it's used as a therapeutic technique. So I first heard about this a few years ago, and I took a MBSR class, which is mindfulness-based stress reduction. It's an 8-week course where you learn different forms of meditation, you learn the research and science behind it. I took that course both for myself to kind of learn how to manage stress and incorporate this into my lifestyle, and then also to learn more about it to potentially share with clients and patients because I think it's really valuable information. So I took that class a couple years ago, and honestly, it's something I'm still trying to integrate into my lifestyle. So I'm looking forward to Dr. Moore's talk next month as well. But mindfulness and meditation comes out of the science and the experience that when people are living in the moment, they are happier and less stressed. There's a lot of difficulty with if we're worried or regret things that happened in the past and we spend a lot of time thinking about it, or if we're worried about the future. That's also not a great place to be, because none of us really know what's going to happen in the future. But if you have a serious health condition like Parkinson's, that may really influence what your expectations are, and likely in a negative way. So the truth is, for all of us, we don't know what's going to happen, and the best thing we can do, although it's smart to plan for the future, I'm not saying you don't plan, but then I'm saying you have to live in the moment. And for any of us, if we slow down and really pay attention to where we are, what we're doing, what lives we are getting to lead, I think we will realize that we're all pretty lucky here. We're in an amazing place, beautiful location, out of the entire world, with surrounded by great people, and so it's practicing living in the moment all the time, because it's easy to be pulled in a lot of different directions. There's a lot of different stressors in our life, and so it's really kind of training your brain to be able to live in the moment and appreciate what we have. Meditation is a way to practice mindfulness. So it's a way to give yourself space so that your brain can kind of calm down. You can pay attention to things like bodily sensations, your breathing, your mind. Do you tend to have a racing mind? Always thinking about things. Are you able to calm your system down? With Parkinson's and many other things that cause stress, it just really amps up our nervous system. So meditation is a way to calm your nervous system so that you can feel better. And also things like pain are also aggravated by kind of that amped up nervous system. So if we can get our body to calm down, our nervous system to calm down, pain also can be much less. So that's pretty cool. So that is just the introduction today. We have some slides put together that Anne's going to take you through, a TED Talk, and then we'll do some practice with meditations at the end. And I hope you guys get a good introduction. I will also be sending out these slides after the meeting, so don't worry about writing things down. But I hope you learn a lot and are looking forward to our meeting with Dr. Moore. Okay, I'll talk to you in a minute.
We live in an incredibly busy world. The pace of life is often frantic, our minds are always busy, and we're always doing something. So with that in mind, I'd like just to take a moment to think, when did you last take any time to do nothing? Just 10 minutes, undisturbed. And when I say nothing, I do mean nothing. So that's no emailing, texting, no internet, no TV, no chatting, no eating, no reading. Not even sitting there reminiscing about the past or planning for the future. Simply doing nothing. I see a lot of very blank faces. My thinking is probably have to go a long way back. And this is an extraordinary thing, right? We're talking about our mind. The mind, our most valuable and precious resource through which we experience every single moment of our life. The mind that we rely upon to be happy, content, emotionally stable as individuals, and at the same time to be kind and thoughtful and considerate in our relationships with others. This is the same mind that we depend upon to be focused, creative, spontaneous, and to perform at our very best in everything that we do. And yet, we don't take any time out to look after it. In fact, we spend more time looking after our cars, our clothes, and our hair than we... Okay, maybe not our hair, but... You see where I'm going. The result, of course, is that we get stressed. The mind whizzes away like a washing machine going round and round, lots of difficult, confusing emotions. And we don't really kind of know how to deal with that. And the sad fact is that we are so distracted that we're no longer present in the world in which we live. We miss out on the things that are most important to us. And the crazy thing is that everybody just assumes, well, that's the way life is, so we just kind of got to get on with it. But that's really not how it has to be. So I was about 11 when I went along to my first meditation class. And trust me, it had all the stereotypes that you can imagine, the sitting cross-legged on the floor, the incense, the herbal tea, the vegetarians, the whole deal. But my mum was going, and I was intrigued, so I went along with her. I'd also seen a few kung fu movies, and secretly I kind of thought I might be able to learn how to fly, but I was very young at the time, Now, as I was there, I guess like a lot of people, I assumed that it was just an aspirin for the mind. You get stressed, you do some meditation. I hadn't really thought that it could be sort of preventative in nature. Until I was about sort of 20, when a number of things happened in my life in quite quick succession. Really serious things which just flipped my life upside down, and all of a sudden I was inundated with thoughts, inundated with difficult emotions that I didn't know how to cope with. Every time I sort of pushed one down, another one would just sort of pop back up again. It was a really very stressful time. I guess we all deal with stress in different ways. Some people will bury themselves in work, grateful for the distraction. Others will turn to their friends, their family, looking for support. Some people hit the bottle, start taking medication. My own way of dealing with it was to become a monk. So I quit my degree, I headed off to the Himalayas, I became a monk, and I started studying meditation. People often ask me, what I learned from that time. Well, obviously it changed things, Let's face it, becoming a celibate monk is going to change a number of things. But it was more than that. It taught me, it gave me a greater appreciation and understanding for the present moment. By that I mean not being lost in thought, not being distracted, not being overwhelmed by difficult emotions, but instead learning how to be in the here and now, how to be mindful, how to be present. I think the present moment is so underrated. It sounds so ordinary, and yet we spend so little time in the present moment that it's anything but ordinary. There was a research paper that came out of Harvard just recently that said on average our minds are lost in thought almost 47% of the time. 47%. At the same time, this sort of constant mind wandering is also a direct cause of unhappiness. Now, we're not here for that long anyway, but to spend almost half of our life lost in thought and potentially quite unhappy, don't know, it's just me, it kind of seems tragic, actually, especially when there's something we can do about it. When there's a positive, practical, achievable, scientifically proven technique which allows our mind to be more healthy, to be more mindful and less distracted. And the beauty of it is that even though it kind of need only take about 10 minutes a day, it impacts our entire life. But we need to know how to do it. We need an exercise, we need a framework to learn how to be more mindful. That's essentially what meditation is. It's familiarizing ourselves with the present moment. But we also need to know how to approach it in the right way, to get the best from it. And that's what these are for, in case you've been wondering. Because most people assume that meditation is all about sort of stopping thoughts, getting rid of emotions, somehow controlling the mind. But actually it's quite different from that. It's more about sort of stepping back, sort of seeing the thought clearly, witnessing it coming and going, emotions coming and going without judgment, but with a relaxed, focused mind. So for example, right now, if I focus too much on the balls, then there's no way that I can relax and talk to you at the same time. Equally, if I relax too much talking to you, then there's no way I can focus on the balls. I'm going to drop them. Now in life and in meditation, there'll be times when the focus becomes a little bit too intense and life starts to feel a bit like this. It's a very uncomfortable way to live life when we get this tight and stressed. At other times, we might take our foot off the gas a little bit too much, and things just become a little bit like this. And of course, in meditation, we can end up falling asleep. So we're looking for a balance of focused relaxation where we can allow thoughts to come and go without all the usual involvement. Now, what usually happens when we're learning to be mindful is that we get distracted by a thought. Let's say this is an anxious thought. So everything's going fine, and then we see the anxious thought, and it's like, oh, I didn't realize I was worried about that. You go back to it, repeat it. Oh, I am worried. Oh, I really am worried. Wow, there's so much anxiety. And before we know it, right, we're anxious about feeling anxious. This is crazy. We do this all the time, even on an everyday kind of level. If you think about the last time, I don't know, you had a wobbly tooth. You know it's wobbly, and you know that it hurts. But what do you do every 20, 30 seconds? I don't know. It does hurt. And we reinforce the storyline, right? And we just keep telling ourselves. And we do it all the time. And it's only in learning to watch the mind in this way that we can start to let go of those storylines and patterns of mind. But when you sit down and you watch the mind in this way, you might see many different patterns. You might find a mind that's really sort of restless and the whole time. Don't be surprised if you feel a bit agitated in your body when you sit down to do nothing and your mind feels like that. You might find a mind that's very sort of dull and boring, and it's just almost mechanical. It just sort of seems it's as if you're just sort of getting up, going to work, eat, sleep, get up. Or it might just be that one little nagging thought that just goes round and round and round your mind. Whatever it is, meditation offers the opportunity, the potential to step back and to get a different perspective, to see that things aren't always as they appear. You know, we can't change every little thing that happens to us in life, but we can change the way that we experience it. That's the potential of meditation, of mindfulness. You don't have to burn any incense, and you definitely don't have to sit on the floor. All you need to do is to take 10 minutes out a day to step back, to familiarize yourself with the present moment so that you get to experience a greater sense of focus, calm, and clarity in your life. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, I'm back. I hope you enjoyed that TED Talk. I think it's definitely a good introduction into understanding why meditation and mindfulness can be helpful, and why we might want to take that time out of our day and spend it doing nothing. All right, next we're going to look at some exciting research. So this is the other reason that I thought this was a really important topic to cover. There was a case study published this year, in 2016, and the title was A Potential Case of Remission of Parkinson's Disease. So this is a case of one individual. We'll have the information on slides, so you'll get to see it, but I'm just going to kind of talk through it a little bit too. So it's a case of a 78-year-old male who had been diagnosed with Parkinson's 16 years prior to that. He initially presented with left hand tremor, stooped posture, shuffling gait, and falls. He started medication at that time, which was very helpful. But then since 2012, so the past 4 years, his symptoms and signs had been decreasing, and at this time had almost completely remitted, and he had stopped taking medication. So there, I don't think there was any specific change in his exercise program or anything like that. What the authors determined is that the main difference was his long history of meditation practice, which recently he had increased the frequency and duration and intensity of. So there are specifics in the article in terms of exactly how much he was meditating, and that can be important. I would definitely, if you're interested in reading the article, I would be happy to get it to you. But I think just anytime there are those outliers where we see people who do things really well or kind of exceed expectations of what is typical for people who have a certain diagnosis or whatever the case may be. So this individual really did something that is different and unexpected, and he has had a remission in his symptoms, and there's no other explanation for why that could have happened. One explanation is maybe he didn't have Parkinson's in the first place. However, really his clinical diagnosis was likely accurate. He had a positive response to levodopa, and he had an abnormal DAT scan. So it definitely showed that there were changes in that area. But the authors talk about how meditation has been shown to release dopamine in the striatum. So that's part of the brain that's affected by Parkinson's. So this article just really caught my attention as something that we should be paying attention to, and how much of Parkinson's symptoms are exacerbated by stress. And what if you were just really able to reduce significant amounts of stress? How much could that relieve symptoms? Because we know stress makes symptoms worse. So how much potential is there for symptoms to get better with reduction in stress, or improvement in sleep, or however you may use meditation? So granted, this individual had been meditating for a long period of time over his lifetime. So if you're just learning about this now and you've never meditated before, you may not be able to have the same type of results as him, but I still think it's really exciting information. And then there were 2 other studies that were published in the past couple of years where they took individuals who did not have a history of meditation, so more like the individuals in this room. In one of the studies, in both of the studies, they did an 8-week mindfulness-based intervention. In one of the studies, they did brain imaging, and that was the main thing they were looking for, is does meditation change the brain in some way physically? And what they showed is that there was increased gray matter density found in the group who completed the mindfulness-based intervention compared to the control group in the region of interest, which were the amygdala and hippocampus. The amygdala is related to our emotional control and our experience of emotions, and hippocampus is related to memory. So the hypothesis is with these areas being more dense, as it shown on, let's see, on MRI, there are structural changes on MRI that would indicate that there are more neurons on that area, in that area, and that they therefore would likely function better. So that was one study. And then the other study where individuals and their caregivers and partners went through an 8-week program. In this study, they actually looked at behavioral measures. So they looked at stress, non-motor symptoms, people's mindfulness, so how much they were living in the moment and how kind of aware of themselves and their symptoms and thoughts and feelings they were, and then also looked at cognition and depression. So with this group, they also did an 8-week program, and they saw significant improvements in mindfulness levels. And you might wonder what that means. There's questionnaires that you can use to test your mindfulness levels, and we'll be going through that questionnaire in just a minute. They also saw a significant improvement for self-reported symptoms of depression and self-reported language function. So those are both significant. Then that was for caregivers and people with Parkinson's. And then participants with Parkinson's uniquely showed significant improvement on mental flexibility and complex attention tasks, and reported significantly fewer emotional and cognitive symptoms associated with Parkinson's. So people reported these significant changes on questionnaires, and they also did tests looking at mental flexibility, and they saw significant improvements there as well. So the evidence is really adding up that there can be potential brain structural changes, behavioral changes in multiple different areas, and that especially with significant time spent, it really can have an impact on symptoms. So especially all these 3 studies together, to me, really means that this is something that we should be paying attention to and trying to incorporate. So you guys will get to see those slides so you can kind of hear the information, then also see it. Then we also have a slide just showing what the mindfulness training sessions look like, what information is covered, what kind of practice is done. When Dr. Moore comes, we can talk to him more about it. He teaches these courses at UC Irvine, and I would love for us potentially to have our own mindfulness-based course for people with Parkinson's and their spouses and partners and caregivers. I think that would be really cool. So that is something that might be an option as well. And then once you get a chance to look at those, then we're going to do the questionnaire about mindfulness, and that'll give you a little bit of insight into maybe how naturally mindful you are already, or maybe some areas, some room for improvement. All right. This is a breathing meditation from UCLA's Mindful Awareness Research Center. Find a relaxed, comfortable position, seated on a chair or on the floor or on a cushion. Keep your back upright, but not too tight. Hands resting wherever they're comfortable. Tongue on the roof of your mouth or wherever it's comfortable. And you can notice your body from the inside, noticing the shape of your body, the weight, touch, and let yourself relax and become curious about your body. Seated here, the sensations of your body, the touch, the connection with the floor, the chair. Relax any areas of tightness or tension. Just breathe. Soften. And now begin to tune into your breath in your body, feeling the natural flow of breath. You don't need to do anything to your breath. Not long, not short, just natural. And notice where you feel your breath in your body. It might be in your abdomen, it may be in your chest or throat, or in your nostrils. See if you can feel the sensations of breath, one breath at a time. When one breath ends, the next breath begins. Now, as you do this, you might notice that your mind might start to wander. You might start thinking about other things. If this happens, this is not a problem. It's very natural. Just notice that your mind has wandered. You can say thinking or wandering in your head softly, and then gently redirect your attention right back to the breathing. So we'll stay with this for some time in silence. Just a short time noticing our breath. Thank you for completing this meditation. This is a body scan meditation from UCLA's Mindful Awareness Research Center. Begin by bringing your attention into your body. You can close your eyes if that's comfortable to you. You can notice your body, seated wherever you're seated. Feeling the weight of your body on the chair, on the floor, and take a few deep breaths. And as you take a deep breath, bring in more oxygen, awakening the body. And as you exhale, have a sense of relaxing more deeply. You can notice your feet on the floor. Notice the sensation of your feet touching the floor, the weight and pressure, vibration, heat. You can notice your legs against the chair, pressure, pulsing, heaviness, lightness. Notice your back against the chair. Bring your attention into your stomach area. If your stomach is tense or tight, let it soften. Take a breath. Notice your hands. Are your hands tense or tight? See if you can allow them to soften. Notice your arms. Feel any sensation in your arms. Let your shoulders be soft. Notice your neck and throat. Let them be soft, relaxed. Soften your jaw. Let your face and facial muscles be soft. Then notice your whole body present. Take one more breath. Be aware of your whole body as best you can. Take a breath. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Okay, last video. So I hope you guys enjoyed the presentation today and had some good discussion and got an introduction to mindfulness and meditation and maybe an idea of practice with meditation and got a chance to experience it. I hope people who have tried different things shared their experiences and that you maybe just thought of some new questions and thoughts that you have to go over with Dr. Moore. So I'm really looking forward to our November meeting with Dr. Moore. I think he will bring a lot of good information for us, and hopefully you guys are prepped to get a little bit more out of the meeting and have some questions for him. And then just a quick reminder too that in December we will be doing a little bit more of a casual meeting. The topic will just be talking about World Parkinson Congress, which a few of us attended in September. So myself and others who attended all would like to share our experiences and things that we got out of it. So we'll have kind of more of a casual meeting, some snacks maybe, and talk about World Parkinson Congress and let you guys know what resources may be available on the website. If there's any audio recordings or video, we will gather that information and let you know. So continue the discussion if there's anything else you guys want to cover, and I look forward to seeing you in a few weeks. Have a great weekend. Bye.